What up, guys? Sorry for last week. I forgot to record it because I watched it at work. I'm like, oh, I forgot. I'm supposed to react to this. So sorry about last week's episode, but this week should be good. I'm finally getting to see my Reclaimer in action. Even though there's a lot of bitching and moaning going on. What's new in some of the Star Citizen community. It's the first iteration, y'all. Let's let them cook. Even though I want to see the Claw 2 on the Retaliator. Hopefully they get it together. But this first iteration to give us something to do. I'd rather have something to do than nothing to do. Because if we would have had nothing to do, it would have been even double the bitching. So let's see what they're talking about. I'm excited. I waited all day at work to watch it with y'all.
So what happened since the last time we talked about Salvage? So the last time we talked about it, it was about the prototypes that we were doing with the entities spawned from the entire piece. So the thousands and thousands of entities.
So many
We
pieces.
had to reconsider our approach quite a lot because it was apparent from the prototype that several aspects of it weren't really going to work the way we wanted to.
With the demo failing, or basically showing us the limits of our engine, which was the entity count, by showcasing that it takes a really long time to spawn all the entities that would fit the
That
size
is
of
a
the
lot.
jump.
We also had to reconsider some things because we wanted to get this in players' hands as soon as possible. So that means making a few adjustments to the scope.
We were asked to come up with a solution by end of this year, which is structural salvage.
Dude, I can't wait to try all this stuff. Ooh.
Structural salvage is breaking
That
apart
looks
various
sick.
ships in order to break down the pieces into construction material, which then you can sell. So it's just removing stuff from the persistent database.
So one of the challenges of developing a live game like Star Citizen is that we have to constantly be weighing up trying to perfect a feature, which could take years, or trying to get something
we
playable
know.
in players' hands so that we can start getting feedback from it and learning from it and figuring out how it fits in with the rest of the game.
So it was very important for us that we get some version of it out this
Dude,
year.
this, oh my
It's
God,
not the full
dude.
version yet, but
Look at that big ass Reclaimer, that beautiful Salvage.
it's
Just
a
a cool
good
ass
first
scene.
step that allows us to test the feature and close the ships that we already have, that are the Vulture and the Reclaimer.
Oh, I thought that was the Claw for a minute. Okay, so this is just gonna suck it up. So the Claw ain't gonna yank shit out like I thought it was at one point.
The
cool
new
for right now.
Vulture gameplay builds on what we already have. The idea is that you'll approach a wreck.
We want to encourage you to use the hull scraping first, so you don't lose the RMC in the process.
Which is higher value per SEU than construction materials. So the Vulture is equipped with a resonance field, which allows you to charge up energy on the target. Assuming that it's still in one piece, if you've not already blown it up with guns or missiles or something, you'll have to fracture it first.
A fracture
We really need a Argo salvage ship. I think that'd be dope. We don't have enough salvage ships in the game. We need like a middle ground. This is like the entry. And of course the Reclaimer is supposed to be like the end game claiming. So we need that middle tier. I don't want it from a manufacturer that the top four, which is Drake, Origin, Aegis, and Anvil. I don't want to see, or RSI, yeah, those 4 or 5, whatever. The first ship's done with. I want to see another manufacturer make it that doesn't have as many ships.
field is built up between the arms, but it's also projected outwards.
Which will break it down into various parts.
We wanted to make sure that the resonance field wasn't going to create opportunities
Whoa.
for griefing. So we've taken the precautions a step further from hull scraping, which requires that the target's shields are off, to structural salvage requiring that the ship's power is entirely off. So it'll be quite hard to use that offensively unless you find a way to disable the target's power plant.
And then
Oh,
you switch to
man.
the disintegration mode, which then disintegrates those parts and draws them into your salvage ship as construction material.
Then into the
I want to run.
grinder,
Look,
and
that
then into
that
the
grinder.
internal-
I want to run into that. I want to see what happens when I get in game. When I finally come back, I want to go in there and get my ass crushed up on some 1,000 Ways to Die shit.
storage, and from there you can then move it out through the filler station into the cargo grid.
The internal storage is one of the great additions we've made here.
What that is basically temporary storage between you gathering the material and you putting the material into cargo boxes.
you have more space inside of your ship. So when you now go back to the filler stations,
is this like a hoodie
the
poncho?
material just being stored in the filler station, you now draw from this pool of internal storage.
That is slightly bigger than the actual cargo capacity of the Vulture and the Reclaimer. So you can basically fill up your ship first. While it is still filling, while it is partly full, or when it is full, you have someone else or yourself go down to the filler station and basically convert everything or all the resources that you have inside the internal storage into the cargo boxes. The boxes come out automatically.
Dude,
so they deplete the
that
internal
is so
storage.
cool. I didn't even know this ship did that. That's cool. So it makes a little ass box after you crush stuff up and it spits it out. That's some cool ass shit. I haven't even flown the ship, like I said, I haven't played, but that's cool as hell. This has been in there.
And
Oh, no, it says work in progress. Obviously not in
you
there.
will be able to move those boxes around.
Well, I didn't even know this was a feature
Which does
in the
really
ship in
help
the first
with
place
the
to
player
come.
experience of the Vulture. A lot of people were saying was problematic because there was a lot of getting up from the seat, going back, and then going back to the pilot's seat again. So this is an improvement there. Once you've essentially got all of the
sick.
stuff out of the filler stations, you'll be able to fly them somewhere and sell them.
The Reclaimer gameplay is very similar to that of the Vulture, except that it's all done by the claw operator, who is the co-pilot seat.
You may notice that the claw of the Reclaimer will look different. I think the art team did a really good job there.
So it's still considered a
So we got
claw.
requests to start looking at the structural salvage feature support. Yeah, the feature team reached out to us and explained to us what they wanted to do and how it was all going to work. And obviously that means that from our point of view, there's a few things we needed to do. It's always had this kind of great big claw underneath it, underslung under the cab. And now was the time that we were going to look at it and kind of make that nice kind of feature of the ship actually function.
Now we have the gameplay.
Dude, the Reclaimer will always hold a place in my heart because I think it was one of my first big ships. My first ship was a Aegis Avenger. Then it was the Gladius. And I think I finally went all the way deep, and this was my first ship. So it's always going to be a place in my heart for this big ass ship.
And
it's
redesign
Aegis.
or revisualize the claw.
We didn't want to just kind of start from scratch. We wanted to take the essence of the original, but rework it to a way that now made sense with how the actual feature works as a whole. One of the things we wanted to do was make sure that the claw was in the player view when you were sat in the operator
That
seat.
looks
And because of that, we
sick.
tried a few different options out with the claw kind of like facing forward originally, and then we kind of had it facing up.
We wanted to have the hand of the claws actually
Hey,
upward face.
I mean, this still looks cool as fuck to me. I know it's a goddamn whiny baby fest about it. I didn't buy the ship thinking things wouldn't change. I bought the ship knowing things can change. Can happen with any ship, y'all. When you buy a ship, things might change. But like most of the ship, like this, I feel like the Reclaimer is one of those ships that came out looking exactly how it was supposed to. You look at the Carrack, it got all beefier and juicy. It doesn't look quite like its concept. The Merchantman got a different change. I'm talking about like the first original ships that came out. The Reclaimer stayed true to itself. If you look at its concept pictures, I mean, you pretty much got what you were looking at. So I'm thankful for that. I look at how cool the ship is, and I just hope that the concept comes out looking like the picture. That's the best way not to get yourself hurt and all sad and shit about changes and different buffs or debuffs going on with guns. You're just going to get yourself hurt. Buy off the rule of cool.
So that we have it easier accessible by the tractor beam gunners on the Reclaimer so they can feed into the hand.
Oh.
But we realized with the updated position that is more forward facing, it makes more sense because weirdly navigate that the hand is below it. And with the tractor beam, it still works.
You will no doubt have noticed that we're no longer calling this feature munching, and that's because we just didn't have the bandwidth to support an actual physical munching action of the claw.
Oh, dude, I was going to call this thing the SS Munch.
The original,
Damn, man,
it
that
was
sucks.
like a claw that would rip things apart. Now the feature isn't working like that.
So now it acts as the field emitter for the resonance and disintegration field,
You can still start with hull scraping, and we highly encourage you to actually do that so that you get the RMC, which we will increase in value. So it will be worth your time to actually do the extra step.
I think this might be the first thing I do when I get in game. Salvage.
And claw will activate the resonance field or fracture field of the claw, and the claw operator then needs to communicate with the pilot to bring the claw into the position of the target that you want to fracture. Once the target is in the fracture field of the claw operator will press a button, a timer will run down, and the ship that is affected by it will break into pieces.
Yeah, I want to get killed
you're not
in
able
that.
to move the claw around, but the remote turrets do have...
You know, I just think that if it was like the actual munch, it seemed like it would take so much longer. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. It just seems like actual munching each little part would take a long ass time. But some people may want that. I don't know.
have tractor beams on them.
Not only you can hold the objects or rotate the objects with the tractor beams, you can now also pull the objects into the resonance field or into the disintegration field.
The idea is that you use the tractor beams to grab any drifting pieces and move them into the field.
And the next step then is actually converting those pieces that you just created into the resources that you want to gather. And for that, the claw operator will switch into the disintegration mode. Again, you press a button, the ship is basically heated up and then converted into a material.
We needed a way of collecting all that material, and that's where we decided to take some inspiration
turn into
from
a
what we did
vapor
on the Vulture. Between these kind of big emitters, we were still sucking in all this material, and that material was then being processed and ground up and kind of sent down to the main
man,
ship
that looks
itself.
so cool.
And then directly moved into the internal storage of the Reclaimer.
The filler stations in the Reclaimer have been changed as well, because the Reclaimer is such a big ship, and having it just one SCU containers for like 360 SCU.
See, I didn't know
I
didn't even know the Reclaimer did that, made the little boxes. I just bought some shit and didn't even know
laborious.
To that, we also allow you to create bigger boxes now on the Reclaimer. So it's not only the one SCU boxes that you currently have, but it's 1, 2, we don't have 4, but we have 8 and 16.
Which then you can go about stacking to your heart's content.
We really wanted to reduce the amount of back and forth that you have to do, and we think it's a good solution.
Oh, that's so awesome.
One of the distinctions with the Reclaimer, though, is that it can break apart basically any size target, whereas the Vulture is limited to only up to a certain size of ship.
So currently, anything above, I think it's the Star Runner, can't be fractured by the Vulture, which is something you would need the Reclaimer to fracture. So if you can find one of these big wrecks, obviously there's a lot of material to be gained from this, which means obviously more SCU to be sold at the end, which is vastly more profit. We like to think that it would be more profitable to do this than the Vulture, but obviously the Vulture is still very much convenient if you're a single player who goes around doing single player salvage.
We're still very interested in enhancing the destruction side of structural salvage, more similar to what was originally conceptualized with munching, but we're going to have to wait for Maelstrom to be more fully realized before we can start experimenting with that.
So there's hope. There's hope for the munching, y'all. There's hope. We just gotta get Maelstrom in and see how that works. So we gotta give them time. Let's let them cook. CIG deserves it. Let's let them cook. That's the first implementation. We just got the team switched over. A lot of the people from Squadron 42 are coming over to give backup to the PU, which it badly needed. So 2024, we're going to see the real deal of how CIG gets down.
So we've done a few things to improve the quality of life of salvage in general. First of all, the Vulture has some interesting features that you can control each of its little salvage arms independently, so that you can hold onto a target with a tractor beam.
Some of the elements that you will have in front of you, the sum of all the pieces that you will have in front of you, will be too much for your cargo hold. So what you shouldn't do in that time is actually trigger the disintegration, because every material inside that field will be disintegrated. So material will be lost that way. This is where the tractor beams come in place, because you can move out those objects that would make your internal storage overspill. So you you get this nice little gameplay of, yeah, I actually pick what I want to grab. We also already in slight update to the crafting that we have in there. So now that we have 2 materials, we adjusted the crafting costs in the filler station. So they are now more realistic, so they are not punishingly expensive anymore.
So wait a minute, you can craft like, what's that gun called? The gun we just saw, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. They just showed. You can craft that in these ships. That's cool as hell. That's going to be clutch. I didn't even know you could do that. That is so cool. The multi-tool
will be even more meaningful because then, like, the material composition will be different. So it's not only construction materials, but it's specific to the parts that you have
fucking
there.
craft on here?
For the far future, so it's not for now.
One of the most prominent quality of life features is the changes to the filler station. On both the Vulture and the Reclaimer, they now have the option to set the filler station to auto-eject mode, where it will just repeatedly eject the last selected crate, which lets you rapidly unload the internal storage into cargo boxes as long as you're quick enough at putting them on the cargo grid. Releasing Structural Salvage in 3.22 will give players an opportunity to play it and start giving us feedback on how we can continue to build on it for the future.
Salvage, like its industrial profession cousins, mining and cargo, is an iteratively developed feature that gets its next evolution in the upcoming Alpha 3.22. And if we've learned anything this week, it's that the path is almost never a straight line. I'm serious. Torsten has been on Spectrum all week providing even newer details than what was available when we filmed. You're gonna wanna check that out. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee.
That's awesome.
Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you. We'll see you all here next week.
Yeah, so I think 3.22 will be the patch I'm gonna hop back into. So I'm gonna wait till it goes live. I know it's in PTU. For sure. I'm hoping my sticks come in earlier, but I think by 12:22, I'm sorry, no, 12:23, it'll be live. So I'm waiting for 3.22 to come live, and hopefully my sticks are here by then. If not, I'm still gonna play. I'm just waiting. I want my flight sticks. I got my Constellation Purples, and I want to hop in 3.22 because I have to try out the Salvage and so many other things. I'm probably gonna be streaming a whole 24-hour session, just be in awe with all the new stuff they drop. But yeah, it's something for us to do right now, and they could build on it. So people bitching and throwing a fit, just calm down. Just calm down. Reel it back in. I mean, hell, this Salvage look better than... Hell, can you do Salvage in Starfield? No. Can you do Salvage in No Man's Sky? Oh, no. Calm down, folks. CIG's doing their thing. They're doing their thing. But hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see y'all on the next one.